Welcome to Next Step Advanced Sketching Techniques. Today, students, we are going to learn how to sketch out a photorealistic superhero scene. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our superhero. Now, there's all sorts of superheroes, from Centipede Girl to Ladybug Man. Today, we're going to do one that in fact, is called Ladybug Man. Ladybug Man is filled with testosterone. Well, in fact, Ladybug Man needs testosterone because by default, his powers are that of a ladybug. So kind of has to have artificial ladybug supplements. Without the supplements, sort of like the Batman character Lame or Blaine, without those constant substances, he would be really weak and pitiful. So we're going to start with the eyes. Now, to be photorealistic, you kind of want to do an upside down C, and then you're going to flip that C with respect to the horizontal. And I'll walk you through this. So here's the steps. Scoot this down so you can see it. So here's a C. Okay. Now, if we do an upside down C, we're going to flip this C with respect to the horizontal. Okay. When we flip that C, we end up with this C, and then we're going to rotate that C. So once we rotate that C, we're going to end up here, and then that's how we end up with this. Then we're going to do the same thing on this with this eye, and then we're going to do a U for the under eye and a U for the under eye, but the two larger parts or pointy parts of the U are going to be chopped off, so we can do that sequence here. So here's a U. We're just going to chop that off and chop that off. So these pieces are not used, but we can save them here. And what we end up with is this. And then, as you can see, there are eyes. Okay, then we're going to do, now attention to detail and just taking everything with a slow pace is key to, excuse me, drawing something photorealistic. Now, the nose is the easiest anatomical part. The easiest anatomical part of anything to draw is the nose. So we're just going to draw step by step, do this together. As you can see, we're done there. Now, superheroes, which are nice or kind, are going to be focused and intent on destroying evil. So their eyebrows, which are going to be a series of lowercase i's, drawn very close together, are going to come down like this, and this just indicates a sincerity for fighting evil. Now, since this is Ladybug Man, we are going to have spots, ladybug spots, which are black all over. We can color those in with our graphite sketching device, as you see, as you hear, as you appreciate. Now, for the head, we're just going to do a backward C, which has been flipped. We'll go through this sequence real quick. So we have a C. We're going to flip it upside down with respect to the horizontal, ending up in this. And then we're going to rotate it to the left, or pardon me, to the opposite left, which is to the right, 180 degrees, resulting in this. And we're going to do the same thing, but reversed on this side. And Ladybug Man probably needs help breathing because it's an insect, and they get their oxygen through diffusion. So since he's a lot larger, he's going to need extra oxygen, similar to Darth Vader. Fun fact for you, in the world of the Star Enemies franchise, in the in the Star Battles franchise, Darth Vader was, in fact, a Jedi insect. So he also needed supplemental oxygen. And maybe there's a tube which also serves duplicitously. Duplicitously means just two uses for the same thing. All right, so there's O2 coming in here, but it's also holding it to its head. Now, due to the ladybug having the accident in the sewers, this is kind of how he got his powers. A lot of his hair burned off, and he was bit by a ladybug. Ladybugs can be ferocious, as any of you know during Christmas time who have used them for like pets because of their Christmas colors. They actually are sort of ferocious. All right, now we're going to do the neck. Neck's going to be two lowercase i's. Now we don't need the dot, so we can just hide the dot right here in the eye. Then we're going to do a body, and then a long wispy cape. Now I would like to think, to keep photorealism, a cape in the real world is going to have just little tears, because superheroes get into battles, so maybe there's a tear here. And just for realism, we can say immediately behind Ladybug Man is an injured or deceased, we'll say injured, gravely injured victim of the Gargantuan. And the Gargantuan is the enemy who is going around bonking people on the heads with like a club hammer. And we can do that here. And this is the Gargantuan's club hammer. And we can just say he's actually still in scene. Notice how I've kept the finger, well, I like to call them finger nips, but they're basically the ends of the finger, also called the jointages. And so he's sitting here, he's very muscular. He just bonked this girl. And we can't draw action and we can't draw movement with our art. That's one of the many things I want to stress to my students and with my students. But we can draw action lines and movement lines. So she's bonked. Now let's say she was wearing a dark black dress because she was coming back from the funeral, say, of a family member who had been bonked over the head. So unfortunate for her that she as well was bonked over the head. Well, Ladybug Man is here to save the day. Now, we did mention that, now you can see for the realism that her black dress is coming through because we can see the tear. And then maybe she's wearing some shoes here. Maybe some long red golden sequin slippers as such. Now, Ladybug Man is not going to have as big of muscles as Gargantuan, mainly because he's a ladybug by default. Well, not his fault, but by default of nature. And ladybugs do have 5 fingers for photorealism, as people do, so we're going to draw those. Remember that the thumbs are going to point towards the insides. That's another step for photorealism. Now, as we said, Ladybug Man is not going to be... Oh, and ladybugs have these black spots. And one of the things I like to highlight at my art shows and during my art seminars is we don't have to use color to translate realism. What we can do is actually write the word for the color. So here we can write red, and the human brain in the mammalian eye will quickly, within a few milliseconds, start to see this as red. So you really don't need... That's for the lazy man and the lazy woman and the lazy person to use color in their drawings. They're also expensive. Now, Ladybug Man is sort of weak because he has like insect powers. He can, basically his power is fluttering around and just distracting Gargantuan with his pretty colors. But if he does want to use his muscles, he has to have a tank of testosterone, which is heavy. The catch-22 here is that he cannot carry this heavy tank of testosterone around with him. So he has to get the engine started, sort of. So testosterone is going to be piped in to his rear area. Now, we can't see the connection point, but what I can do is we can infer it. So this goes back behind him, and it hooked up into his rear area to an access point is going to be the testosterone flowing. And you can see once it starts to flow, his muscles go bigger and bigger and bigger. Ladybug Man, we can see the proportionality is correct. So we have the head. You can just do the hand rule, the curl rule. When I do my curl over his head, and then I come down and I curl over the body, once I rotate, you can see that it's a complete match. Now, Gargantuan has really long arms, so to make this photorealistic, we're on a street. So we're going to add hazard rectangles. These are in every street, and they're yellow. But we can write the word yellow because colors are for the unsophisticated, and then maybe Gargantuan has a really large brow and a really large ear and an eye and another eye and a really big smile to kind of lull or trick the victim into thinking that he's innocent. And you can see just off camera, just off screen, we can infer that this hand has bonked this victim in the head there. And then maybe there's some more victims here. Unfortunately, Ladybug Man has drawn a crowd. Maybe a girl. Girls they have longer hair, and the boys are going to have spiky college hair. And then maybe an older man, due to male pattern baldness, is not going to have any hair right there. And they're all looking this way. So we can't draw vision lines. We can't draw looking lines in art. That's one of the things I want to stress to my students. But we can draw vision lines. And as you can see here, and these are actually trademarked. So as long as I put the TEM here and point to what I'm trademarking, and I've actually trademarked quite a few things. Let me trademark the rotating C mechanism there. Okay, so right now, well, let's just take a gander at what we've done here. So this is Ladybug Man getting pumped in with testosterone to make him try to be stronger to fight Gargantuan, who is bonking people over the head. I think if you were to show this to anybody on the street, they would be hard pressed to distinguish what we've done here, what I've done here today, from a photograph, from a high definition or even an ultra high definition photograph. It's taken me years and years and years and countless hours to achieve this level of mastery and skill. It's just beauty. So my advice to you is to follow along, replay this as many times as needed. I always use a very sharp pencil. That helps. But practice makes perfect. In addition to that, though, some of it is genetic. I was inherited with these traits. So unfortunately, if you were not inherited with these traits, it's just going to be a tough road for you. But you could simply watch the videos and enjoy and think what could have been had your mother or father given you different DNA. All right. Well, that's it for the day. I hope everybody learned something or learned more than one thing. This has been Next Step Advanced Sketching Techniques, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe.